6 o'clock on Friday, the 27th of December, 2019. Good evening and thank you for tuning in to the English edition of Ora News. My name is Christopher, bringing you the only update of the local Albanian news translated into English. One month after the earthquake, the residents of the village Tarin in Bupsh are asking for help from the state because they are living in terrible conditions after the destruction of their dwellings. The situation created in Bupsh and many other areas touched by the earthquake, according to the opposition leader Luzim Basha, shows the government's failure to assist the citizens of their own country. The failure to come and help the people in need shows this is an earthquake of corruption and greed. To not come in and give your help to your people in their time of need, it's simply a crime. The separation of people from their parents and grandparents is the ugliest crime of all. This has been the case thereover. They're neither a government nor a gang. They're heartless, said Basha. Basha urges Edi Rama to cancel PPPs and money toward the reconstruction of people's dwellings. If they had taken this job seriously, they would have done something. First of all, the fact that the tents were only available, it was inevitable due to their lack of planning. Second of all, they should have taken security measures for temporary shelters and containers, and they should have been given the residents money they needed in hand for building new houses, because there is no other way to solve this problem in a timely manner. I've been saying this for a month now, to cancel the money that is basically given directly to the oligarchs. The amount of money is already given enough to solve the problems in rural areas and most of the urban areas hit by the earthquake. He has only lies and excuses to hide his failure. Without solving this problem, neither will your problem be solved, nor the Albanian people's problems, which is the problem of the economy and poverty. The government was branded as a government of thieves that takes the king of all thieves and appoints him as the Minister of Reconstruction, who will just steal over the ruins of the earthquake, the mayor of the opposite had mentioned. The opposition underlines that the economy and poverty are the main problems of Albanians. Meanwhile, help for the families touched by the earthquake is emergent, as they are living in miserable conditions during the cold weather. Two other executives were taken into custody and safeguarded after the life of the General Director of Prisons, Agim Azmaili, was threatened. This was acknowledged by the Minister of Justice, Edlira Gjonaj, who stated that the 41-bis regime would provide protection to prison directors from threats from convicts. The executives will be guarded by the state police in the special structure that was set up by the law. The minister has also admitted that the prosecution of serious crimes has received many requests for convictions, which are required to be introduced into the 41-bis system, but no decision has been made yet. After the agreement with Italy for the return of Albanian convicts in Italy, it is understood that there are about 190 people who have applied for their service for sentence in Albanian prisons. According to Minister Gjonaj, the transfer will start with 20 people at a time, according to prison capacity. Gjonaj said the center of focus for 2020 will be on technology and information for justice, on the management of cases for both the prosecution and the court, as well as the writing of a new criminal code. After the sterilization of the concession file and accusations with which the president has charged the head of Justice Appointment Council, another request was sent to the Special Anti-Corruption Unit. The head of the parliamentary group, Taulant Bala, in the name of the Assembly, has deposited a request to transfer the CEZ file to the Court of Tirana for the appropriate investigation and judgment by SPAC. The allegation was given in the court at a preliminary seance where the prosecution requested the dismissal of the case. After leaving the seance, Bala stated that this case was not properly investigated by the prosecution, which has not yet questioned key witness Noel Kalaj. Noel Kalaj has not been questioned by prosecutors. Consequently, we have come to the conclusion that we are here dealing with some criminal offenses, unlawful influence, abuse of duty, and other criminal offenses, some of which, after the charges have been brought up by the Justice Reform Package, can no longer be the subject of an investigation by the Tirana Prosecutor's Office or a trial by the Tirana Court. These corruption-related offenses are criminal offenses that will fall within the jurisdiction of the Special Court Against Corruption and Organized Crime and the Special Anti-Corruption Prosecution's Investigation, said Bala. According to the report made by the prosecutor, the Parliamentary Inquiry Committee has concluded that a number of seniors of the Albanian state during the years 2005 to 2013, persons who have held the highest public functions, have also targeted and committed illegal acts during the privatization procedures of the distribution system operator, causing considerable damage to the Albanian state. Yesterday, the plenary session was held by Kosovo's new assembly regarding the constitution. Prior to the session, VVM and DLK, the two parties with the highest number of MPs, have failed to reach a ruling coalition agreement. The president of Kosovo, Hashim Thaçi, is expected to hold meetings with senior representatives of the Vetëvendosje movement to learn the name of the person they propose as prime minister. Later in the next plenary session, Thaçi will propose the name of the candidate for prime minister to the parliament for voting. Democratic League of Kosovo and Vetëvendosje movement have not reached an agreement for a ruling coalition. Despite this, the procedures of the new government creation will continue as normal, after which the assembly that came out of the October 6 elections was constituted in yesterday's plenary session. Based on Article 95 of the Constitution, Kosovo's President Hashim Thaçi is expected to hold meetings with senior representatives of the main party and then propose to the Assembly the prime ministerial candidate. Meanwhile, the new government is expected to form within 15 days. Vetëvendosje will propose the name of Albin Kurti as the head of the government, who will hold the latest talks with the second party emerging, the DLK, from the elections to reach the composition and names of the government. The president's name will also be on the table. Speaker of the Kosovo Assembly, Kon Juvsa, on the first working day, said that Vetëvendosje has no other coalition option but the DLK. Kon Juvsa said there were good and bad examples in the way Kosovo Assembly had been led, saying he had witnessed all of the events. According to him, being part of the body of the Assembly, he says he had managed to create the firm conviction that the Speaker of the Assembly is the key person that links this institution to its proper functioning. Montenegro's parliament voted amid controversy over the contested law on religious communities. The chaotic session lasted for nearly 8 hours when Friday morning the Democratic Front opposition attempted to block voting by force. While Prime Minister Duško Marković and the ministers had left, they addressed the speaker by damaging items on the desk, insulting them, pushing majority colleagues, and exploding fireworks in the hall. The precipitation of the event forced the intervention of the security forces, which extracted the minority MPs from the hall. 18 members of the front opposition were accompanied by police and are set to be released after leaving the room with the 45 ruling Social Democratic lawmakers to vote on the law, backed by Albanian, Bosniak, and Croat minority parties. All of the articles proposed by the opposition were rejected. Protesters against the legislation were kept away from parliament and also in other cities. The cause of the revolt has become a requirement of the law sanctioning the creation of a ministry selected for autonomous religious sites after they were allegedly appropriated by Yugoslavia when they joined in 1918. Some days ago, the municipality of Tirana has placed an announcement for all families living in buildings built during the 1990s to remove the water deposits settled on terraces. The main reason for removing the deposits is to reduce their weight, as it brings a greater risk of injury in the case of another earthquake. The warning forces their removal by the residents of one building on Muslim Keta Street, where these deposits have been found. Residents agreed to remove the deposits, but this action must start after a proper supply of water is provided. We agree to remove the deposits, but we must be furnished with 24-hour running water. The same ambiguity and demand exists in other areas, and residents are still unaware of how to cope with the situation. We don't know what we're going to do. We can't live without water. One proposal is to place the deposits in front of the buildings, but often this isn't a proper solution. A lot of water will be contaminated if the deposits are left on the ground floor next to the buildings. Much fear has passed down from the families living on the top floors to those living on the first floor after they voiced their concern for their safety. The municipality of Tirana has decided that the deposits on the terraces of the palaces should be moved to the first floors by January 30th. Otherwise, there will be financial penalties. And that's the news across the country today. Thank you for watching our English edition this evening, and be sure to join us again every Monday to Saturday at 6 p.m. for the latest news from Albania. Once again, on behalf of Ora News, thank you and good night.